And welcome to Enjoy the Show with
Billy
and Arturo.
You guys like that
forgot
shit?
I was doing
We
that.
are rhyming.
I just stared at the camera. I'm like, wait, what am I doing?
We're poets and we don't even know it.
No, we don't. Hi, and we're back.
That we are.
It's been a while. I feel it has been.
Yeah. So
We were supposed to meet last week.
yes, we were supposed to meet last week, but some schedule conflicts.
Adulting sucks.
Adulting sucks, but we did meet up for Truth or Dab.
Yes, we did.
Dude.
That was a lot of fun.
Let me just tell you something. The first time we did Truth or Dab, I know this is TMI, but let me just say this. It was yellow. It was yellow.
So gross.
This time, normal.
Hey, that's great.
I was very, dude, and I'm going to say this for anybody out there who likes hot wings. Y'all need to play this.
Yeah.
It's a great game. You get to hang out with your friends, tell the truth about things you probably don't know about your friends. Which, by the way, I love learning things about my friends in that way.
Oh yeah, because
right?
it allows for so many like random stories to come about, things that you weren't expecting, and or like the roast cards where everyone's talking shit and things like that. Like
I always feel bad roasting my friends though, because it's just like I know so much about you and I can really get you, but
that's to it.
yeah, but it's so good, and the sauces taste awesome, except for the Bombion Insanity. There's no flavor. It is all hot, and
fuck that. It's just pain.
It's
battery
painful.
acid.
It's so painful, but it's a lot of fun. But you're not here to listen to us talk about hot sauce.
Or
This
are
isn't
you?
this isn't Hot Ones. I'm not Sean Evans. You're not Sean Evans.
Last I checked.
Last I checked, yeah. So we're here to talk today about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania,
Yes.
the latest installment of the MCU, the start of Phase 5. Which is crazy to think about, that like another phase of the MCU is over, and now we're starting a new one. And just as a warning, this is full spoilers.
Yes.
Completely 1000% going into details about certain plot points. So if you have not seen the film, this is your chance to go and see it and come back. But if you don't care about spoilers, welcome to the conversation. This is your last warning though. Spoilers from beyond this point now. So but what did we think overall? Like,
Yeah. What did you think?
I asked you first.
You did ask me first. And honestly, I had a good time with it. I do have my nitpicks, but overall, it was really entenning. And dude, Jonathan Majors, man,
Of course, we are going to
absolute highlight.
We're going to dive into that 1000% for a fact. Like we are going to dive into that, like in like not graphic detail, but we are going to talk about that.
What movie did you watch?
He conquered that ass. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no. So I also had a great time with this movie. I rewatched the first Ant-Man before watching Quantumania because
Did you watch Ant-Man and Wasp as well?
I've seen Ant-Man and the Wasp before. Yeah,
But you just rewatched the first one.
rewatched the first
Leading
one
up,
because
okay,
I had watched Ant-Man and the Wasp pretty recently, so it was still in my mind.
Yeah.
But I hadn't seen the first one since I got Disney Plus and rewatched the MCU for the first time. So it's kind of like, and that was in 2019, so it was like almost 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
So it's almost as if I rewatched it for the first time.
How did it feel?
And it felt amazing because it felt like there were so many things that I had missed from the first time watching it. Because the first time I had seen Ant-Man in the theaters, but this was at the point in time where I just kind of watched those movies to be like, oh, it's another superhero movie. Cool, that's it. But come on, you got it. And then when I rewatched it with Disney Plus, I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like that. There's so many things that I missed. And then even this last rewatch, there were a lot of other things I was like, oh my god, like I totally forgot about that. And so it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun rewatching it. Like I said, it felt like watching it for the first time again. It was so much fun. I love Corey Stoll, but I hate him in the first Ant-Man.
Yeah. I mean, he was intimidating too in that film.
He was a dick. He was like Obadiah Stane, but like
I can see that.
Worse than him. But the first Ant-Man was really, really fun, and this Quantumania, it there was just and this is something that I never thought I would say this. I liked Quantumania.
Yeah.
Just to say that I really enjoyed the movie. I had a lot of fun watching it. But there's something about when I rewatched the first Ant-Man and even Ant-Man and the Wasp, there's something about the era that was shot in that this film, I feel like it just honestly just kind of didn't have it. There's this specific level of charm and charisma and kind of I don't know what it is, but I didn't really feel it a lot in Quantumania.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the movie still. There were a lot of great moments, a lot of really funny moments, and Kang, again, Jonathan Majors, holy shit. I would want to say he's up, like he has moved up into one of the most terrifying villains
and we're
of
gonna
MCU.
See more of him.
Oh, a lot more.
That
of
we're
him.
going to discuss soon.
Yeah.
No, you know what? I actually completely agree. There is something about the Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp that has a familiarity to it. You know, you feel weirdly. I feel like cozy might be the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. Like it's the idea of like it's family. It's this group of friends. And regarding like Michael Pena, Luis, and everyone.
Which I'm bummed that they weren't in this. What the heck happened?
I don't know, man. I mean, when you in the context of the film, it does make sense that they wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Like, because the film
Michael
basically
Pena,
starts off immediately, by jumping
does.
into the quantum realm. But they still could have cameoed in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know, man. It is a bummer that they weren't in it. Especially Luis. Like, I was really expecting to hear him do like some sort of like recap on everything that's happened so far. I thought that was been an interesting way, especially since this was the beginning of Phase 5.
Yeah,
that could have been a cool way.
Oh
to
my
jump
god, that would have
things.
been great. Because in the first Ant-Man, they did a really good job at like him narrating things while actors would mouth like lip sync the same thing he would say, and they would go back and forth. I'm like, where was that?
Well, they did that in the second film as well.
No, I know, but I'm just saying like. We needed that. I felt like we needed that in this movie, but I felt like if they would have done it, at least, if they would have done it the time in the beginning of the movie, that would have been like, I feel like the only time it would have been appropriate.
It would have only worked there, but then I ended up really liking the idea that the film kind of had bookends.
Yeah.
With like the opening of like Scott, having this narration of his life and where everything is, and then at the very end, basically having like this existential crisis that shit, like, is this really what's happening? Did I unleash evil on the world type of thing? So that was cool how, that started off and ended off. But I did miss them. In addition, though, of like the first two films, is like, we see a lot of situations, and my buddy Ublester, if you're listening, Uble, shout out to you.
Which I'm sure he does.
I heard him I overheard him talking about this with a friend at his birthday party. Even like the first two films, do we see a lot of like growing and changing of sizes and seeing objects and like kind of the first film outdoing the second.
Absolutely.
Sorry, the second film doing the first one and things like that.
Yeah.
And there's only so much you can do sometimes with that. And then having this jump into this direction, it did allow for something different. And it also allowed Ant-Man to go giant a lot.
Oh yeah.
Whereas we may not necessarily see that I guess in our world. I don't know. So I get that too, but I was looking forward to some of that. But having this all take place in the quantum realm, it became kind of a cool space movie.
You know what it felt like to me?
Yeah.
You know what it felt like to me? It felt like Star Wars Episode 3. It felt like Revenge of the Sith a lot.
Specifically Revenge of the Sith.
Specifically
specifically Revenge of the Sith?
Because a lot of where they were reminded me of like the lower level of Coruscant, like kind of like when Anakin and Obi-Wan in Episode 2 were going to like the bars trying to look for the changeling. It kind of had that like gritty kind of level of Coruscant feel. And then
someone did try to sell them death sticks, right?
No,
I know what you mean.
Like,
clearly, they didn't
I'm not trying
happen in
to. I'm not trying to sell you death sticks. But. No, so it just specific parts reminded me like when they were like in
I can see that.
And also I like when it was a little bit like when they're in like the upper levels in the city level, like it felt like Coruscant, like so. And it just reminded me of like that part in Episode 3 where like Anakin and Padme first meet up like kind of secretly, and she like tells him he's pregnant. There's like kind of this overhead shot, and you can see all these spaceships going into like this spaceport. It kind of just reminded me of that a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, but it did feel a lot like a Star Wars movie, to be completely honest.
No, I mean I completely agree, and I think that is something that came to mind too. It's just seeing like kind of like a different world. My big question too with all that is like how these like species were like chosen within the quantum realm, like what designs they were going to go with, and why there are seemingly humans as well.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a movie, I get it, but then that also brings to mind the idea that, you know, these creatures have evolved the way they did. Mm-hmm. How did they go through the exact same things to look like humans on the surface versus I don't know. It just threw me. I thought they were going to explain it with Bill Murray's cameo, which by the way,
took me by complete surprise.
Were you aware of that at all?
Nope,
Nice.
zero.
Okay.
I don't know who I was expecting, but I definitely Bill Murray was the last person that I thought. Dude, I thought it was going to be like, what's that fool's name from Jeff Goldblum's character in Thor Ragnarok, the Grandmaster.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I'm like, I don't know why he would show up, but I'm like, it would be he showed up. I feel like that would be kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like it wouldn't be too far off, I guess.
Too far fetched.
Yes, there we go. Thank you.
I got you.
Yeah,
your word of the day.
Yes, but I know it's random, and I know it wouldn't have happened. But I'm like, is it going to be Jeff Goldblum, or I don't know? I feel like maybe it would have been like someone from like Guardians of the Galaxy, or you know whoever. But Bill Murray was the last person I expected to be like.
He literally just showed up too. Like that was the interesting thing about his cameo. Like he showed up, and then that was it.
Yeah.
Like I had almost forgotten. I was talking to Natalie. Natalie, shout out to you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening.
Always.
Really appreciate it.
Seriously.
We were talking briefly after I watched the film, and I was going over a couple of things, and she's like, how could you forget the Bill Murray cameo? I'm like, oh my God, you're right. But it was more of like, I forgot to mention it because it happened so quick that it didn't even go back to my mind. Like after immediately watching it.
Was he teased?
He had his own poster. I don't know if he was in a poster. I mean, in the trailer or not. But I did remember hearing something that he was going to be in it.
Okay.
But again, I mean, I didn't try to go in with avoiding. I mean, I did try to avoid things, but I don't know. I feel like I was aware of that when I saw him, and I did see a character poster for him at some point.
Yeah, I did. I didn't see a lot of any promo material for this movie besides the one trailer in Knock at the Cabin and like the teaser trailer. That's like it. I didn't see any posters or like much of anything. Really.
I think it's also like what your like internet searches are tuned to, your social medias.
Yeah,
too. Like,
yeah.
For me, like I see sometimes things that I realize not everyone does, and vice versa. Sometimes like you're aware of things that like I have no idea.
Yeah,
so it all depends.
Totally.
Yeah,
yeah.
But the poster thing, I'm obsessed with movie posters. So like, there's a website I constantly look and just to see what new posters are out. Because I don't know. I remember the era of growing up and just seeing movie posters.
Dude, that was like, enough.
Oh, I'm in. Like, you know, the trailers were cool, but they didn't. I feel like we weren't always aware of them unless we were in the movie theater.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And you know, I even remember a time when trailers on YouTube were not even a thing.
Oh, well, of course, yeah. I mean, yeah.
You know, you go to the movies, you don't know what trailers are going to pop up.
We lived for a long time before YouTube, though.
No, I know.
There was a big era of no trailers.
I remember going to the movie theaters and like when the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies were coming out, being like, what the fuck? Like, I even remember when I used to work in a movie theater, there was a point in time, I started working in a movie theater in 2005. And I do remember even before that, there were points in time, especially in the 90s and the early 2000s, when a Star Wars trailer would come, everyone would buy tickets to go see the trailer and then leave.
Yep.
That's how swear to God that used to happen.
Oh, no, yeah, 100%. I remember... I remember being in the theater for Superman Returns.
Oh, yeah.
And people paying to see the trailer for Spider-Man 3. And a few people left right after that.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they paid to go see it. Dude. And it's crazy. It's awesome that was an era. Like, I remember myself personally, like, on occasion, there would be, trailer premieres on TV, like, after a certain show or leading up to something.
Yeah.
I remember recording, like, VHS recording the trailers for... Star Wars Episode 3 and X-Men 2. Specifically, I remember recording those two and just replaying them non-stop and just that whole era. But now trailers are everywhere.
Yeah. And sometimes you can't avoid them.
And then sometimes they give too much away.
Yeah.
So
luckily, like from what I saw from like the Quantumania trailers, from what I remember seeing from the trailers.
You did tell me you got something spoiled for you though. I remember you texted me because you were watching something, and you're like, "Oh, I know what the realm looks like now."
It was for something. It was for Teen Wolf. Like something got spoiled for Teen Wolf.
No. I mean, yes, I remember that happened. And fuck spoilers on the internet. Yeah, was it when we were recording last that we talked about? Was it? I think
yeah.
You were watching Knock at the Cabin.
Yeah, and then you saw the trailer for the last trailer, and I'm like, oh, I know what the Quantum Realm looks like. I know what Kang looks like now. I mean, I already kind of knew what Kang was going to look like before, but then it showed like his like full villain costume. I was like, damn it, dude! I didn't want to see that stuff. So that's a bummer. But
just close your eyes next time.
I know, seriously. But yeah, that was like the only things that like got like technically spoiled for me. But like, yeah, but fucking stop doing that in trailers, people. Whoever cuts trailers, stop doing that, please. You're not.
It's too much.
It's too much.
But going back to said movie.
Yes.
Where were we? Bill Murray.
Murray.
Oh, okay. Well, speaking of Bill Murray, I really wanted to bring up how I loved how much Michelle Pfeiffer had to work with this film.
Oh, thank God, dude.
I love her as a whole. She's always been amazing. I remember distinctly first seeing her in Batman Returns as a kid. Like, that was my first exposure to her. What was
my first exposure to Michelle Pfeiffer? I don't even know. It was in the 90s for sure. I just don't remember one movie. Yeah. You ever seen the movie What Lies Beneath with her and Harrison Ford?
No.
Dude.
I'll write it down.
You gotta watch it. It's so good. But yeah, no, I'm so happy because she wasn't in it at all in the first one. And then,
well, I mean, not Michelle, but the Wasp was.
Yeah. Michelle was not though. And then in Ant-Man and the Wasp, we got a little bit of her, and then this one, she actually like had something to do in the movie. And
well, I mean, I'd argue she had something to do in Ant-Man and the Wasp as well.
Maybe I'm misremembering something.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing with her connection with Scott and the opening, and then her communicating to him, and them rescuing her, and then she like saving Ghost at the very end. I mean, it was less of a role for sure, but she had a strong presence in the film.
Yeah, but
then she showed up at the very end of Endgame.
Yes, that's fair. That is true. That is true. But in this, she like had like a very integral role. There was a lot of things that within the quantum realm were because of her.
Yeah. And I love that opening, seeing that, because we never really got to know, and that was a big question of mine, even before going into this movie, is were we ever going to explore that? Because before this film was even announced, and what everything was going to be, what the plot was going to be, I always had an idea that perhaps Ghost was going to come back, and they were going to do something in terms of like connecting the quantum realm to today, or things of that nature, especially because of how the post-credit scene was. Sorry, the mid-credit scene was for Ant-Man and the Wasp, of Scott going to the quantum realm, boosting up on like healing energy or what have you, and then the snap happened and he got stuck back then.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, wait.
Oh, because Ant-Man and the Wasp was after Infinity War. You're right.
Okay. So then the snap happens, and then he's just stuck over there. So I thought it was going to maybe continue off something like that, and we would get to see a little bit more of Janet in terms of like connecting to the quantum realm, but just how much hidden history there was. And I loved how there was a lot more. She just wasn't trying to survive. She was like, apparently, not up to no good, but doing what she needed to.
Yeah,
in terms of like who she aligned herself with and this and that. So I thought that was really interesting. And I loved getting a bigger backstory with her and Kang, and because it gave you a chance to really see more to Kang.
Yeah.
And I mean, okay, let's just talk about Kang.
Let's do it. There. Let's fucking go.
But okay, so I mean, first off, Jonathan Majors is amazing. I first came across him on the show Lovecraft Country on HBO Max.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So fucking sick.
Still have yet to watch that. Heard it's really good.
It's really, really good. You should check it out.
I will.
So I remember when he got cast as Kang and his variants, I was really excited. He nailed the version that he was in Loki.
Yeah.
And just seeing a different version of him here, and just letting loose and being this like intense figure, and this backstory and how convoluted it is, that I wasn't sure how they were going to adapt that to the from comics to film, but they did an excellent job. And dude, when at the very end of the fight scene, when his armor gets partially ripped off and his arm comes out and he's just duking it, like I'm like, oh shit,
yeah, dude,
like that was fucking badass. I'm really excited to see Creed that he's in as well. But yeah, I think he's a beast, and in the best way. I think he's intimidating. I think he's really intelligent. And for me, as my little nerd moment, so my first introduction to Kang as a whole was through the X-Men Evolution cartoon. Those who remember how great it was in that era. And he's actually the Pharaoh Ramatut, like in history.
Right.
And he comes from the sky with with unknown power, and we find out technology. So at the very, very end of the mid-credit scene, and we get to see a Pharaoh version, I'm like, that's Ramatut.
So sick.
That's the version I knew first. So it was really cool to see that. I got really excited. And then the Council of Kangs, and that was like ripped from the comic pages. So that was super fucking awesome. And loved the post-credits, seeing that we're going to see a version of him.
Oh my God, dude.
In Loki season 2.
I fucking cheered for joy, because let me tell you something. Ever since...
Literally or metaphorically?
Well, metaphorically. But I want to say ever since Spider-Man No Way Home, my sister is the second biggest fan of Loki next to you. She loves him. And
why Spider-Man No Way Home?
Because me and my sister have started going to like premieres of the superhero movies together since then.
I was like, well, he wasn't in that. Like, what was that?
No. Yeah. Well, because my sister and I started seeing all the superhero movies like premieres together. Like we saw that, the Batman,
so as of 2021 is what you're saying.
Doctor Strange, like all the newer superhero movies that would come out, no matter what it was, we would go see them together. And ever since we saw that, she's like, I hope Loki's in Spider-Man, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, okay. And I'm like, He's not.
Yeah.
The next movie he would most likely be in would be Love and Thunder, if anything at all. And so, we obviously would stick around for all the post-credit scenes, and when he wouldn't be in it, she'd be like, damn, I'm disappointed. I want to see Sylvie, and I want to see Loki. And I'm like, all right, dude, just relax. He'll be in a movie sometime soon.
Yeah.
I was not expecting it to be the post-credit scene of fucking Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Was not expecting it at all. Although it does make sense, because we are obviously introduced to Kang in the MCU in Loki Season 1, so it does make sense in the context. But I just didn't expect it going into the post-credit scene and being like, oh, shit! Like... Now, I don't know this, but apparently the variant that they showed at the post-credit scene, his name is Victor Timely. Okay. So when I saw that version of him, I go, what the fuck is that? It's like some Albert Einstein maybe kind of variant. And then it pans right to him and to Loki and Mobius, and I literally was like, oh! Like that I did do for sure. That was my actual reaction. Just, oh. And I saw the movie with my parents. And they're fans of Loki as well, and they had left. Now, obviously, they left before the second credit scene, because usually
you guys came together though.
Yeah,
and they still walked out.
Well,
Did you tell them there was a credit scene?
I mean, here's the thing. My parents don't care like I do, so I didn't want to. If they wanted to leave, I'm not gonna be like, no, you gotta stay, unless if I had seen it before. And I knew that it was...
But you always stay until the end.
I mean, I always do. I did. I did. I'm not an idiot. I'm just kidding. I love my parents. But, like, for example, when me and my parents saw Spider-Man Far From Home, they were about to get up before the first post-credit scene. I go, sit. Because I had seen it before.
Gotcha.
And they were like, oh, why? And I go, just trust me. You're going to want to see this. And
so then when they're waiting outside and they ask, like, what did you say? And then you say there was an extra scene...
I go, dude, I told them, I'm like, you guys should have stayed. And they go, why? And I go, because there's another credit scene. And
so you didn't try to tell them as they got up?
No, because a lot of times, too, a lot of those second credit scenes are like, they're nothing important. Sometimes. Like the one in Spider-Man Homecoming where Captain America's like, so, you're in detention or whatever, I
mean, in the entirety of, like, the post-credit, like, history, I feel like there's only been, like, 3 that were, like, incredibly lame.
I know, but... Who knows? This is an Ant-Man movie. It's a funny one. Who knows? Could have been just a silly one at the end, right?
Well, the Ant-Man and the Wasp one was silly, which is the ant playing drums.
Exactly. So I didn't... I obviously...
I'll give it to you.
But again, my parents are the type of people that they like the Marvel movies, but they're not invested.
I'm just curious as to, like, you guys came together, like, did they not, like, oh, why is Billy still sitting? Like...
No, they're like, why are you still sitting? I go, because there's another credit scene. They're like, okay. And they just left.
And I was like,
and I told them when I went outside, I go, you guys should have stayed. And they're like, why? And I'm like, there were still people coming out, and I had to be like, because of Loki. And they were like, oh. whoa! And because my dad watched all of season 1 with my sister, and he got really invested into the story, and he's like, "Oh, that's fucking cool," and all that type of stuff. But again, they're not as invested as someone like you or I, where like we know we have to stay because there most likely is gonna be something important.
Oh, so. Definitely. I mean, yeah, and in this case, it really was. I was not expecting Loki at all either. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't have a theater that was like overly cheery like I do sometimes.
Oh
like,
yeah, the one I went to wasn't either.
And it was like things would happen like like during the watching it, I was like, whatever, you guys are lame. But when Loki showed up, I literally did, he showed up with like I just did that one clap because I was so excited, but my theater was like so quiet that I didn't want to
tame yourself
yell. I was still like that's all it was. That's all it was, like a muted clap.
Yeah.
But I was super excited, and I was not expecting it at all. You know what I was actually thought was going to happen? That we would get to see Haley Steinfeld's Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, reaching out to Cassie and like doing the Young Avengers initiative. That's what I expected.
That would have been so cool.
I totally thought that was going to happen. Excuse me.
That's a good one.
Tell us why you're upset.
Because I didn't get to see Haley Steinfeld. I love her, dude. Oh my God, awesome. I love her.
But yeah, I totally was expecting that to happen. They're both members of the Young Avengers, especially like the very first incarnation. Well, Stature Cassie was an additional member, but she was still, well, so was Kate Bishop, but they were still part of that really first lineup.
Yeah.
With characters like Patriot and Hulking, Speed and Wiccan, who are Wanda's kids.
Yeah, Wanda's. Mm-hmm.
So, and we already have Patriot in Falcon and Winter Soldier. He was Isaiah's
John. Oh, okay. No, I'm sorry. John Walker is a U.S. agent.
Yes. Okay. So he was Isaiah Bradley's grandson.
Right.
And so like we've already had like these little moments. So like I really thought that was gonna be it. And I remember there was an interview a while back where someone asked Hailey Steinfeld about Young Avengers.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And I haven't watched it. I just seen the memes of it. But she turns around and looks like Kevin Feige, and Kevin Feige's face is like, "Don't say anything," type thing. Yeah, that's exactly how it is. His eyes go wide.
I bet you anything they're gonna start rolling that out once Thunderbolts comes out.
Oh, I mean, it's only a matter. Yeah.
Why I think it's gonna be in why it would be like through Thunderbolts for some reason. I just feel like because that's like an off branch thing that they're gonna just go. The Young Avengers too. They're just going to start being like, "Hey, the Young Avengers are going to be in," or they're going to start alluding into it more. I don't know why. I just feel like
I don't see that at all with Thunderbolts.
Okay,
only because it's a Black Ops team. It's meant to. I mean, in the comics, it's more villain themed, but in this, it just seems to be like more mercenary-ish, super soldier thing.
Yeah.
I feel like the earliest we could see something inkling towards Young Avengers could be the Marvels coming out later this year. Because Miss Marvel's in it, she's younger. There could be some allusion to it, or they're brought up, and she's like a superhero nerd, so she might actually be like, "Oh, there's some like lower, there's some other heroes that are popping off."
Is Ironheart part of it too?
She's not. Okay. She has her upcoming series, but she's not a part of the Marvels. No, it's it'll just be Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel.
No, I mean the Young Avengers.
And I see. No, I think she took I haven't followed up with the latest issues of Young Avengers. But as far as I'm aware, she's basically just the newer version of Iron Man in a sense. Okay. Even though Tony's still alive, but then there was also Superior Iron Man for a while. It's a whole thing.
Okay.
It's a whole thing.
That's okay.
And then Doctor Doom was also Superior Iron Man for a while.
What? Jesus Christ, it's a whole thing. There's so much.
God damn. But yeah, so I mean, that's what I expected, to be perfectly honest. Fair. So when Loki showed up, I was completely caught off guard. But speaking of this, I did want to bring up Cassie.
Yeah.
And Catherine Newton, who's new to the role. Yep. As we are all aware, or at least may have heard by now, the actress that portrayed her in Endgame, she was not cast in this film. It wasn't necessarily, from my understanding, a firing or anything like that. It was just the people making this film didn't have her in mind when they were developing this versus that. And clearly there was a huge miscommunication because unfortunately Emma found out during the Disney Investor Day. During the announcement, like everybody else.
Oh, that sucks.
So that's a huge bummer. Nothing against Emma at all, but I am familiar with Catherine's acting with the Supernatural series and Freaky.
She was in Supernatural? I didn't know that. Okay.
She's Castiel's human host's body's daughter.
I've never seen that show, so I have no fucking idea what you're talking about.
But no, she's phenomenal. I feel like she needed a little bit more to work with. in this film.
Oh, okay.
Because Freaky really shows her having a big range.
Dude,
huge
her and
range.
Freaky was phenomenal.
If you guys
she was
haven't
so
seen
funny.
it, horror movie, it's a la Freaky Friday. She switches bodies with
Vince Vaughn. Who so
is amazing.
Him playing like the teenage girl role. Oh my god, that was so fucking funny.
I mean, if you haven't seen it, it's a fantastic horror
so
comedy,
funny.
and it's brutal too.
Oh, it's very
Freaking
brutal. That one guy who gets like, I think like,
spoiler alert, blood gushes.
Yeah, but like his whole ass body goes through like an
Blood
incinerator.
gushes.
It's pretty bad.
Oh, you ruined it for people.
You said spoiler alert before, so.
I was saying that to you to not give away a spoiler, but
I mean, I already did.
It's all good. Watch it anyways.
Yeah, it's still really funny.
So
but yeah,
good.
I mean, I really,
I think she did great though. And
I did.
really
I
liked
thought so too.
The film was really centered around like the father-daughter relationship, and me. Because I'm a parent now, I am strongly biased in favor of everything to do with family and parentage.
Absolutely.
So I love that aspect of the film, and just the overall like the family dynamic that really has happened. Over the course of the last couple of years within the group. She refers to Hank Pym as Grandpa in the movie, and like that's so endearing because it's her dad's girlfriend's dad.
Yeah.
But her dad wasn't around for 5 years, so this is the people she was with.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, they got snapped too. They weren't there either. They were blipped.
Wait.
But still.
Who was?
Hank
and
Janet? Yeah.
Oh.
And yeah, they were blipped at the mid-credit scene of
that's
Ant-Man
right.
Wasp.
Yeah, that's right.
See what happens if you don't watch the second film as after the first film.
Dude, whatever.
I mean, you could have watched the Marvel Legends. I was talking about that the entire time last time. It's literally, it was a 6-minute episode on Scott, a 4-minute on the Wasp, and a 4-minute on Hank and Janet. It's fantastic. And it caught you up. Promotion here.
I know.
Nah, it's all good.
But
I know I tell you things and you just don't do them.
That's not true. That's not true.
This is for your benefit, Billy.
Oh my god.
Where were we? Oh yeah, like the family dynamic.
I love the family dynamic.
Yeah.
I like just that beginning scene where they're having breakfast or whatever meal it was that they were having. Pizza. Yeah. Oh my god. I just was like, dude, that looks so nice. And then
so
they just go to the fucking quantum realm.
Hold on. Remember for like the fact that Hank decides to buys it like a personal pizza.
Yeah.
Does the Pym particles, makes it huge.
Yeah.
I saved $8. That's such I feel like a grandpa thing to do.
Yeah,
like if you had access to that, 100%.
I fucking love Michael Douglas, dude. I fucking love Michael Douglas.
He was great in this.
He's so good.
I have expected him to die for some reason.
Dude, if we're talking about that, I expected Scott to die.
Really?
I really thought that when him and Kang were in that one scene where he's like, I don't have to, whatever, we both have to lose. I was like, he's gonna die right now. Fuck, dude. Like, I was not ready for that.
I don't have to beat you. I just we can lose together. Whatever. I know what you're talking about.
Something like that. We both have to lose. It's like I don't have to win. We just both have to lose, or like whatever that line is. It's just like, man, I thought he was a goner.
I thought
Thank God he wasn't.
He and Wasp were gonna get stuck.
Oh yeah, I really thought that too. I really thought that too. Thank God they didn't.
Honestly, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I saw some nitpicks of like the film had no stakes and it would have been a better ending if they got stuck.
Whatever.
But to me, dude, perfectly honest, I hate when teams get split up.
Yeah.
And then the whole next film where it's like everyone split, just have them together. I don't know. That's my thing. So seeing Scott and Hope be able to come back, I was so relieved. I felt Hope didn't have as much to work with this in the film.
I really don't.
And that does bother me because it's Ant-Man and the Wasp. I mean, arguably, Janet Van Dyne is the real Wasp,
right?
So she did have a lot to do. Because I'm not sure if you're aware. So in the comics, Hank and Janet are everyone else's ages. They're not much older.
Okay.
Like they are in the films.
Okay.
And it's not so. They're everyone else's ages. Like the mid-30s. In the realm of comics, there's a sliding time scale because they've been around since the 60s.
Sure.
But they're the current. There is no Hope. There is a version of Hope, but she's like a teenager in some alternate universe or a child. But point is, they're the two Avengers. But the thing with Hank, so in the MCU, we've gotten versions. We realize he's not always the nicest guy. He's been a bit of a jerk over the years, a complete asshole in some cases. But the comics go as far as domestic abuse as well.
Right.
So there's Hank Pym's character's been through so much. He was not banished, but he was kicked out of the Avengers at some point. He became the villain Yellow Jacket at some point.
Oh.
And in the comics, Vision is patterned off his brainwaves. Vision is his Ultron, technically. Sorry, is his son, but then that also happens to Vision. No, Vision is Wonder Man. Yeah, Ultron. Sorry,
That's a lot.
It's so much. And in the Ultimate Comics, when Captain America finds out that he's been hurting his wife, he beats the shit out of him in giant human mode. Like, he's little tiny Cap is fighting Giant Man, basically, and beating the shit out of him.
Okay.
And then he starts dating the Wasp, Janet. And then they become
Captain America does?
Yes. And that's a whole thing, too, and I'm totally going off the tangent.
That's fine.
But it's just like, I'm totally cool with the version that they chose this of. Yeah. And it has allowed them to do some more mobility with Scott, because he's a much more likable character. And things like that, and having him be our Ant-Man, and then... It was really awesome seeing him get giant and beat the shit out of things too.
Oh, dude, of course.
Yeah,
it's always a good time seeing him like fucking just being, fucking King Kong, just murking shit.
Very King Kong, very Godzilla.
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah.
Freaking kaiju battles.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Scott, how did you feel about all of the Scotts and seeing like the probability realm when he kept duplicating?
Wait. What do you mean?
So when he met versions of himself, because it was like a probability thing or a possibility.
Yeah. Okay. I'm like, wait, what the? Yeah. You know what? I had to go to the bathroom for a part of the movie. Unfortunately, and I think that's a part that I missed. I was about to say, like, I missed a part, and I don't remember exactly what part it was. That must be it, because I do remember coming back and having the big fucking pile.
Yeah. Of all,
so
all
okay.
Scots,
Yeah. So I don't know how to answer that question because I was not there for it.
Oh man, I mean, yeah, that was a trip. I thought it was cool, honestly, and it was basically, like the different decisions he makes make a different version of himself, and I wasn't expecting that. There's a lot in this film I didn't expect. I felt it just didn't feel like the same version, like the same DNA as the other films had, which is fine. But it did go in unexpected directions. Ultimately, like I said, I still had a really good time with it.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to...
Yeah. What is your opinion on MODOK?
I didn't like it.
I didn't either.
I mean, it was silly, and that's fine. And I'm not even going to get into the comparison with the comic version. To me, my biggest issue with MODOK is the fact that they chose... I mean, it was cool to see him come back, Darren, Corey Stroll, but... He was so badass, such a force in the first film that he was just comedic relief.
Yeah,
and it looked silly, and it is what it is. Like, it made me chuckle here and there, but I wasn't a big fan of it.
It just looked like his face was in the wrong aspect ratio.
Yeah. I mean, I did like the nod to the comic version with like the faceplate, like that was cool.
Right. Yeah.
But I just couldn't take it seriously. I kept thinking of like Humpty Dumpty type thing, It's what came to mind.
No, it's so good.
Like,
right now that I'm thinking about it, that's exactly what it is. It literally, like, I have expected him to have that, like, hey Scott, what are you doing out here? Like kind of like helium voice, you know what I mean?
I see. Yeah.
I can't do it because obviously
I'm glad they kept his voice. I mean, if they had changed his voice to like something like that, oh man, I would have taken me out of the movie.
Honestly, like his character, it kind of did. Like, whenever he was on screen, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I kept hearing the name MODOK around for I don't even know how long. I think since like What If came out, people kept talking about it. I'm like, what is that? And I didn't like look into it or anything like that. But then like when Bill Murray said the acronym MO whatever,
the mechanized, only designed for killing.
Yeah, whatever that was. I was like, oh, is that what MODOK means? And I go, is he gonna be in this movie? Like, what even is that? I don't even know. And then I'm like, there's no way that, like, whatever this character of MODOK in this movie is what it is in the comics. That's not what it is. No. There's no fucking way it is.
And I'm just gonna, I'm not even gonna get into it, man.
Yeah,
I will say though that his death scene and his I'm not dying a dick. Like that made me chuckle.
Yeah, that made me chuckle
and,
too.
Scott, you were always a brother to me. Like,
it was like, what are
at
you
that point, it was so
about?
ridiculous that I couldn't help but laugh.
Yeah.
And like, I'm dying an adventure. Like, what?
I mean, you know,
like I'm laughing for the wrong reasons, but it did make me laugh.
Yeah, it made me laugh too. I was just like, what the fuck is that?
I mean, they could have gone in so many different directions. Because Corey was an awesome Yellow Jacket.
He was a great villain. Like I said, he like when it came to like normal, like just a regular person being a villain, like I said, like an Obadiah Stane or whatever, like he was menacing.
Dude, Obadiah, man, I need to go back and rewatch the first time. Man.
Me too. That's such a good fucking movie. But
I've been trying to decide how old I will expose Damon to the entirety of the MCU.
Oh yeah,
because I can watch it right now in the background with him. Like, there's plenty of things I watch.
Yeah,
like Gargoyles. We've been watching.
Oh, what a great show that
so
is,
good.
Man.
By the way, I do not remember season 2 at all. I remember season 1 vividly, but season 2 goes off the deep end in an interesting way.
Okay.
And it's 52 episodes long.
Whoa.
I mean, it's also the era of like a new TV show every day.
Yeah,
you know, like after school block or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, that chunk of time was.
Oh my god, that is a good
Monday
point.
through Friday was a new episode every single time.
Yeah.
It's not like today. You know, animated. No. Yeah, everything changes now with streaming and this and what have you.
The whole industry changed because of streaming.
But so every now and again I'm like, should I start it? But then I don't know.
I mean, I would say that once Damon is old enough to,
well, I mean, I'd rewatch it by that point again. It's just a matter of like, because that's the thing too. Like, I don't want to have him in front of the TV for too long either, and he doesn't look at the TV for that long anyhow. Yeah. But whatever. It's just something that goes on in my head every now and again.
I mean, let's talk about, we haven't really talked about the main guy. Let's talk about Paul Rudd. I fucking love Paul Rudd.
He was great.
He was fucking fantastic in this movie.
I love
always
that
good.
He has a book.
Dude, that was awesome.
Apparently it's real. You can buy it.
Really?
Yeah, it's written like in character.
Oh yeah, of course. But I love his relationship with Cassie was also really fucking endearing in this movie. Like that's like, this is a guy who got fired from Baskin & Robbins and he wants a second chance with his daughter. You know what I mean?
But now he's employee of the century.
An employee of the century. Absolutely.
I love seeing that and seeing what Hope was up to with her company and like I love like their little lunch break.
Yeah.
Like, that was cool.
They're so adorable. That whole family is so adorable.
They're great. But yeah, Paul Rudd's the man. Like,
oh yeah.
Again, like if you think back, just not too long ago. No, he's coming up on 10 years in the role now. Damn.
Oh my god, in 2 years it will be.
Yeah.
Holy hell, that's so crazy. Time flies, man.
Might I remind you that the MCU started 15 years ago.
Dude, 2008, man. That is wild stuff. Dude, I remember seeing the trailer for Ant-Man when I saw Avengers Age of Ultron, being like, who the fuck is going to go see a movie about Ant-Man? And then I'm like, well, Paul Rudd is in it, so I'm going to go see it.
I mean, that was that golden era of, like, Marvel could do anything and get away with it and do something crazy.
Yes,
Guardians, Ant-Man. I remember seeing, was it on SNL? Somewhere seeing like coming for the next Marvel movie, shopping carts.
Probably.
And it was just something super ridiculous because like I mean this was a time frame where
absolutely.
There was a lot of characters that the people general public weren't completely aware of.
Oh yeah.
But because Marvel had done what it did to establish itself and build this cohesive universe, and knowing that at the very least every movie is decent.
Yeah.
Like. Yeah, of course people are going to tune out. Like, I mean, of course it doesn't make the same amount of money as an Avengers movie or a Thor movie, but people, I mean, your reaction to it is spot on to what a lot of people thought too. Like, who the fuck is Ant-Man? What the fuck? But I mean, Paul Rudd is so likable.
Yeah.
And I feel like that also helped in the idea that there was a larger audience who weren't necessarily into superhero films, but recognized Paul Rudd and be like, well, I don't know what this is, but Paul Rudd's in it. Let's
go.
Know.
It's like, he's been in very iconic movies. He was in
Anchorman.
Virgin, Anchorman.
Yes.
I Love You, Man. Probably one of his best movies of all time. Forgetting Sarah Marshall, like all of those movies.
He wasn't in Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yes, he was. He's Kunu. He's Kunu. He's Chuck. He's the guy that's like, I'm going to give you a Hawaiian name. P-P-O-P.
Dude, I need to rewatch that movie, man.
Dude.
I thought you were talking about, when you said that, I thought you were just convincing Jason Segel and like,
No.
Who I ran into at a park in LA once.
Really?
And I yelled, I loved you and I love you, man. He was like, He had headphones on. He was jogging.
Oh, of course. Yeah. But yeah, no, Paul Rudd is a household name, I feel like. And and everybody who has seen anything he's ever been in will probably be like, oh, what the fuck? He's a superhero now? Fine, I'll go watch it. That's how I felt about him at that one point. I was like, I don't give a shit about Ant-Man, but because he's in it, I'll go see it. But
dude, that's so interesting to me, man. It is, because like just seeing, your appreciation for things now.
Oh yeah,
and like, and then also like you being you, like I can't see you being that dismissive.
What?
Like, fuck this. Like, I don't.
Oh no! I wasn't like fuck this, but I was like, wait, what? Like, I never will ever say like, oh fuck this,
okay,
like to
gotcha.
anything.
Yeah,
Never. No. But like when it came to like, I remember seeing Avengers: Age of Ultron, and that was like the last trailer before the movie started, and I was like, what? Like I literally was like, what? I guess I'm gonna go see that because Paul Rudd's in it. That's literally like the reason why I went to go see it in the first place. So, and then I ended up liking the movie anyway. So I'm just like, to your point, that was the point where Marvel could do anything and get away with it. And I wouldn't even say getting away with it is a proper way, but it's like they knew how to take a very low level character that probably nobody knew about and made them so popular.
Well, dude, that's the MCU. If you think about it, like
1,000%,
especially when it started, because your gold tier, your A-list characters at the time were characters like Spider-Man, Hulk, X-Men, like Iron Man, Captain America, Thor. Even in that time frame, they were more of B characters. I mean, yes, they were very popular and they had their volumes that existed forever, but they weren't nowhere near the same level as these other characters. So the fact that MCU was able to do what it did and establish itself the way it did with the characters they had left because of the film rights and that Marvel Comics had sold, and all that, what have you. Like, it's amazing to see how this universe has flourished and how all these characters become household names. And characters like Guardians of the Galaxy get a ride at freaking Disneyland. Yeah. California Adventure. But, like, it's beyond me. Like, it is so awesome. I feel personally. A lot of, there's always your nitpickers and your naysayers about, like, Disney buying things and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But to me, as a comic book person who read these growing up, who was made fun of and this and that because it wasn't cool, and seeing how these things are celebrated now, and the fact that you can go get a giant weird chicken sandwich at the Pym Test Kitchen based on Ant-Man, who was like a C-list character back in the day. Like, that's amazing to me. And I love that. I love that feeling of, to me, it's like it's a warmth, and I love the fact that my son gets to now experience these things out there, and of course I'm going to show him the stuff from the get-go, and the origins of everything. But to me, I love it, man.
Of course, absolutely. So do I.
And I always get a cocktail or a beer from the.
Still have yet to go to Avengers Campus.
Oh, you have? Oh, dude, it's amazing, man. Yeah, I mean, they're coming up with a new ride, or there is going to be a new ride, which does make sense. 'Cause I always felt like a little empty. So the fact that they're talking about that, and I think I know exactly where they're going to place it, so that makes some sense. Because of course, when you launch something, you don't want to, what's that term? Show all your hand or pull out all the deck. Stupid English.
Fucking. Put all your eggs in a basket?
I don't know. I mean, the thing, what I'm trying to say is, like, you don't give everything at the front, at the very beginning, because then you can roll things out.
Yeah.
And so that whole thing. But yeah, there's a whole restaurant dedicated to like things that are bigger size, smaller size.
Oh, that's so cool.
There's a giant pretzel. The chicken sandwich I'm talking about is like a huge patty on a tiny little bun. There's like a lot of cool things with that. And then right next to it is a bar, and I'm totally blanking on the name of it, despite the fact that I go to it. It's Pym's Test Kitchen, the Tasting Lab. The Tasting Lab. And where there is the giant like brewery can, or where everything is being brewed, it's a beer can like made giant.
Oh, that's cool. And I love that.
Yeah, and there's little things like that, and all the taps are like a fork, like a giant fork, and things of that nature. I
love that.
So, and you get everything in the beaker cup.
Oh yeah.
And that's and then my last thing that I never signed up for this, but if you get like a flight, so you get your little cups, right?
Yeah.
they're pictures of beer made tiny on a ruler.
Oh my god, I love that. See, what the fuck? That's so cool, man.
Yeah,
I love that.
I took that home. Like, I rinsed it, and I'm like, I'm taking all this.
And dude, that Guardians of the Galaxy ride is a fucking awesome ride. Dude. It's so much fun.
And it's insane.
Yeah, it is.
Like, I remember, excuse me. Like, I loved Tower of Terror, and I do miss it.
I miss it too.
But I feel this Guardians is so much more intense because I feel like there's more like.
Also, it's like a little bit more unexpected. Like the Tower of Terror. Well, I mean, and I've only ridden the Guardians of the Galaxy ride once, but from what I remember of the Guardians ride, I feel like there's a lot more of going up and down a lot faster. Whereas the Tower of Terror was the same thing every time you would go up, and then up, and then whoop, and then you would go back up and down one more time. And that was
exactly it.
Right thank you. But I feel like with Guardians of the Galaxy, it's like you don't expect what's going to happen.
You really don't, because there's a lot more bouncing, and it's not with Tower of Terror. It told kind of a story with the levels, and with this, it's all over the place. Like the last time I went with Eric. Eric, I don't know if you're listening, but if it is, shout out to you.
He probably doesn't. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, anything to do with the internet, he probably doesn't.
Yeah, no.
But we went on together, and I'm like, why am I on this? But it was so much fun.
Yeah,
I had such a great time.
Yeah,
and I love how it's immersive and it's cool, and I love seeing Marvel celebrated in this way. Anything comic book related. The comic book museum down at freaking San Diego is awesome. And this is a beautiful era.
It is.
And what is this? How, to wrap things up, I guess. How do you feel about this being the start of Phase 5?
I feel like it was a pretty good start. You know, I feel like the reason why is because we now know what Kang is capable of.
Yes.
And for me, he is up there in the villains of the MCU of being one of the most badass, most powerful, terrifying villains.
He's already really high up there.
Like, Jonathan Majors, I mean, we've already said it before. He was absolutely incredible. So, and, you know, obviously with all of his variants, I cannot wait to see, like, his range of what each of them is going to be like, and it just, you know, him being going to be the big baddie of, you know, this next upcoming couple phases with Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars coming out. Like, what is he going to be able to do? Is he going to be more badass than Thanos? Like, is he going to be more treacherous?
It's possible, man. Yeah. Like, and Marvel, like, I mean, a couple of villains have been very, you know, lackluster, but like, we've gotten some very strong villains over the course of everything, and he's up there. Like, he's joining the ranks of, I personally feel, Thanos, Loki, Brainwashed Winter Soldier, like the Scarlet Witch, Killmonger. Absolutely. I feel that he's up there.
He is very up there.
And
although I will say, and I'm sorry to say this, Wanda, Scarlet Witch, is still number one to me. Oh, I'm sorry, but she is.
Yeah, no, of course.
I'm fucking terrified of that woman.
She's. Yes. I can't wait to see more of her.
Me too.
Really quick side tangent, because I do want to go jump back to this. Elizabeth Olsen was recently in an interview, and when she was asked about, like, where does she see herself in the future, what does she want to do, she said that what she would like to see, she can't say because it could potentially be a spoiler.
Oh, of course.
So everyone's exploding. Taking it as a confirmation, but she has to be in these next two Avenger movies, of course.
Oh, 1,000%, dude.
Well, 100%. And speaking of which, that first one is called Kang Dynasty.
Yeah,
and I love that the first film in Phase 5 gives us Kang because it's leading up to this. There was Phase 4. I'm not going to get into it too much, but there was a lot of things that didn't feel like they were being connected to the overall saga.
Yeah.
But if we look back, you know, at Phase 1 and how things got in Phase 3, both same part of Infinity Saga, not everything in Phase 1 directly connected or directly pushed the envelope for how things were going to develop with Thanos and the Infinity Stones. So we can't have the same exact expectation that everything in Phase 4 is going to have to deal directly with the multiverse or affect these things in the bigger picture. That's not how it works. That's not how it did work. I don't know why you're expecting that now.
Because people are never happy. I
saw something the other day where it's like Marvel fans have been turned into the new Star Wars fans, and I'm like,
well, I mean, that is also true, in my opinion.
And it's always, I feel it's not reflective of the general population. It's always a group of loud individuals on the internet.
Yeah, it is.
But anywho, again, Kang being established in the first film of Phase 5, leading up to the events that we're going to see developed within the rest of the Phase 5 and Phase 6. You know, we have Avengers Kang Dynasty, we have Avengers Secret Wars. I thought it was a great step in the right direction.
Yeah, no, I definitely felt like it was too. I mean, I'm not a screenwriter, I'm not a movie producer or anything, but I thought that how this started out was very strong. Now two things can be true at once. This isn't by any means like the greatest superhero movie, the greatest Marvel movie to exist. It's fun.
Yeah.
I had a great time with it. But am I like, was I freaking out about it like I was like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? No. Was I freaking out about it like when the first time I saw The Winter Soldier? No. But I will say that there were moments in Quantumania that did have me going like, yo, this movie's fucking awesome. But there were some things that we had talked about before that just didn't hit right.
Yeah, it just didn't land. And it's fine. Not every film has to do that.
And not every film is going to. It is nearly impossible for a film to land everything on its feet. Now, I will say that there are some in the Marvel Universe that have done it. Endgame is one of them. Infinity War is one of them. Civil War, Winter Soldier, the first Iron Man.
Dude, yeah. You named off
it.
those.
That's it. Sick.
And on that...
Even the first Avengers, too. But yeah, I had a great time.
Same.
Good.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm glad.
What did you guys think? Did everyone out there have a good time with Ant-Man? Did you not? Why did you not? Or why did you yes? Let us know.
Exactly. Leave a comment down below letting us know your thoughts. Give this video a like. Subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends. If you're listening to on Spotify and Apple Music, make sure to subscribe to those as well. Give us a 5-star review. Share that with your friends. Tell your mom. Tell your dad. Tell your wife. Tell your girlfriend. Your boyfriend. Your partner. Your dog. Your cat. Whoever.
Everyone.
And enjoy the show.
Hey.
Do you see what I did there?
I did see what you did there. I like that.
Thank you.
Just cut it right there.
Anyways, we will see you guys next time.
Have a wonderful evening.